Okay, I had to update OBS. Now it works. That's great. Hey, folks, my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online, and we're creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in the Eberron campaign setting. Let's see. Give me a second here to check my signal and make sure we're up and running, and then we're going to do some artwork this morning. So, mic check, 1, 2, 3. So, yeah, it sounds like I'm coming through okay there. Let me drop down the volume here so it's not obnoxious. Hopefully I won't have any echo coming through today. And I'm going to do some fast social media postings, and then we'll get to work. So, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And as I said, we're creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, an Eberron enthusiast since 2004, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. But I haven't done anything yet in the Eberron campaign setting specifically. It's remove there. That is not the post that I wanted. Hold on. Let's do this instead. There, my social postings were weird. YouTube, that's good. Eberron, looks like that's good now. Check. And for fuck's sake, self-referential. Here's the actual link. That's there, and yeah, so I've been DMing for a long time. I love the D&D game space. I haven't created any actual adventures yet for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and I haven't done anything for Eberron ever. So it's time for me to straighten up and fly right and take care of myself in the Eberron world. If you think today is cool and other sessions, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. All 478 episodes, you can see them here. Hold on, let me yeah, did I do this? I completely did all this wrong. All right, anyway, so we see everything is chugga. I'm having a day, my dudes. Okay, well, yeah, it looks like a background. Okay, well, we're already good to go. Here's the cover. There you go. A rare behind-the-look scenes of me doing social media posts. So, cheers. We're doing, let's see, we're making background. We're doing, I'm having a day. Can you tell? I'm having a day already. It's already a day. So, where are we at in this process? We got 1, 2, 3 of these cornfield maze maps done. They all tile together really nicely. If you check the previous episode, you can see how well these things link together. I'm sure I'll bump them into each other again sometime soon. Here we go. So this is where we're at down here. Let's take this. This is just it's production work, and that we're just replicating. We're just duplicating this tiling effect. It's not anything too innovative right now, but I'm hoping that the process is reflexive enough for me at this point that I can just run on autopilot and ramble about stuff while I'm doing the work. So let's see. There we go. So far, so good. So what? Let's drop this in here like that. We're using a masking layer to conceal these corn stalks. And then as we wade through these, we add texture to the ground. Just go to 0, 100%. Like that. And we'll just block these in. There. And then we can conceal this. Let's go here and finish up here. We're just clearing this space, so obviously and the corn is all facing vertically. So we have an absolute up and down in this image, so we can just trim this stuff away and then add in some ground scrub, and it should fill in these gaps pretty nicely. But tiling corn mazes is something I've been thinking about for quite some time, and we just get to execute it here now. It just happens that the adventure that we're building here has characters exploring, investigating farm homesteads. So it's a good excuse for us to build out cornfields to use in the future for like Halloween type activity. I'm going to blip that out there. Blip that there. Let's carve around that space there. Trim this away. Let's trim that away. And we have 8 points of aggress from a tile, and it's in these guide. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of egress, and they're always each square is 5 feet, so they're always 15 feet from the edge, or from the corner. 5, 10, well, 10 feet anyway. Anyway, you have those 8 points of aggress, so that you can have a, like, see, this is already lining up really nicely here. This is too broad of a space though here. I need to close this off a little bit like that. That'll do better. There we go. That sits pretty nicely. Like if I were to connect these two things, see, this point that could have ran off is just now running into more corn. And yeah, you could slip through here as difficult terrain to end up on this path here as well, but I mean, you can go around, but regardless, you can just crash through any amount of, just like as the crow flies through the corn, it becomes difficult terrain with obscuring your vision beyond 5 feet because cornfield. But they're designed to click together like this to be able to create a smooth flowing pathing through it. So I'm really happy with how well these things don't connect here. I can't just rotate these things because then the corn is going to be facing that. I mean, you could, but the corn would be facing the wrong way and it looks sloppy. So we have multiple tiles to be able to tie these different terrains in with each other. And yeah, there you go. So fun process. Let's drop down into here, and we've got our highlights, so we can do like this. We want to dot the stuff in here along these edges where the field opens up, so that you can, so that we can get away with not showing, like, it's kind of like in comic books when they cut off the pane so you don't see their feet. This is kind of that same thing, that we're clipping this so you don't have to worry about, like, how is the corn coming out of the ground or whatever. just like it's called. I don't know if it has an official term, but I generally just call it like grounding the illustration into the environment. So it's not just floating in the space; it's rooted to it. That's the intention of the term, anyway. Like this, we dot that in. And this has a let's drop the eraser down here to 40%. That feels good. Let's do that. So we'll dot this in here and fade out this stuff a little bit just to chop it up. I'm using this choppy brush here to create this grass-like texture, to have that kind of weave into the environment a little bit. Comes decent texture. Let's get that up there. Like that. Good. Okay, hey, that looks pretty good. I don't think there's a lot I have to do to make these things work. I just think I need to just tap at it a little bit just to get the grounded in, like that. And then we'll be able to move on to the next tile. These probably won't take that long. I mean, it took a little while for us to figure it out in the past 2 episodes of like the logistics of it, and then figuring out the spacing and the patterns that we'll have. But I think we're looking pretty good on that front at this point. Add a little bit more of this in here. Just felt a little empty. Taparoo. There we go. I stream artwork like this in the mornings, Monday through Friday. And I have a game design stream where we're building mechanics for characters and DM subsystems and stuff like that for your game. That we build the books, so that that are the actual like meat and ideas of the books. We do that on Mondays and Thursday nights, as well as Tuesday and Friday daytime during lunches. And yeah, it looks pretty good. We can call that good. Seems like these look pretty good. Trim that down a smidge. Just take some of the bite off of it. Okay, cool. That's at this point. No, wait. That feels kind of bare up there. I actually do want to add that in. There. like that. Okay, cool. That feels pretty good. Yeah, we'll get it. There you go, man. Keep as cool as you can. Face your piles of trials with smiles. I'll write you on my bright little star. All right, well, that looks good. So we'll stitch this one up, and then let's move on to the next one. These don't take a lot to get done. Now that we understand the process and how they look in general, we can kind of kick through these things pretty quickly. So I mean, there's a lot of them to go. There's like 32 of them total. So something like that. There's a shitload of them. But we're getting after it. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's take our corn here and add in our masking layer. And again, see, three squares away from the edge. And we we scrape out this space. 3 squares from the edge here. Easy peasy. These are just unique tiles that are just added as junctures and points of interest. Once we have the tiles complete, I mean, we're just running through in the actual adventure that we're creating. Timely timer, thank you. The adventure that we're actually creating, there's a number of homesteads along the Carnwood that are now being attacked by undead coming from the forest, and so in the scenario, there's mobs of undead in the cornfields. Some of the farmhouses have been attacked, and the people that live there have been slaughtered by undead. Let's do that. There. And fill this in here. That looks pretty good. So we have a very simple like random encounter, like what kind of undead do you find in the corn mazes? Very simple random, but we can use these same tiles for different narratives in the future, like put like gazebos or like crypts or entrances to Underdark that into Kyber that we hadn't anticipated. A cornfield is a cornfield. It works in any campaign setting, so it doesn't have to be Eberron specifically. It's just the adventure itself is about farmers, so it's timely. Makes sense for this particular situation, but I'm gonna get rid of that one. Trim that one away like that. There we go. Just like that. Open this one up a little bit. Easy peasy. Yeah, clear that out. Trim this in. Good. And over here. I know some of these sessions are more exciting and interesting than others. I never really know what the conversation is going to be about until the conversation happens. Right, so we want to fill in these gaps here, cover up these bits along here. up a little bit. There we go. Just filling those blank spots, like these solid color areas here. I want to break those up, just to have more patterning and less just dead pixel space. Just keep texture, more texture. Ground has infinite amount of texture. It's just a matter of how close are you zooming the camera. So you just want to drop in some sort of, whatever your texture is, just be consistent with it. And we're using this this curved eyelashy sort of brambly looking brush. We often use this for conifer branches on trees that we do, but it often works for ground terrain like blades of grass. In a macro sense. There, like that. Just like that. And I know it's sticking off. The furry bits are poking off the edge of the square. We can just trim that up when we get to that point. But yeah, I don't feel like I need to do a whole lot more with this one. They're pretty quick. I'll probably, whatever we don't get today, I might have time to do assembly work tonight to finish these off. But this is a vacation week for me. Every year, I take a slew of days off in May to celebrate my birth. But hold on. Oh, good. Checking on. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that one. Let's go down to here and then select inverse. There, that's straightened out. Cool. This one is done. Let's open that back up. See the bits. There we go. And this one also needs to be trimmed. They probably all need to be trimmed. Hold on. I'm just going to go down the line here real quick. And then, ooh, a satellite just beamed my ear. Select inverse. Delete. And leave that open. Close that up. Open this up. Here, open, drop down, there, select inverse, go back up, hit delete. Come on, buddy. Help me out. Photoshop is I can't see my mouse. I can't see my freaking mouse. So I'm going to close out of here and see if I can get my, for some reason it just glitched out and I can't see my freaking cursor on the Photoshop program. So hopefully this fixed. It's not an OBS issue somehow. I don't know how that would mess with my oh, there we go. I have no idea why that would mess with my mouse, but that's where we were at. I'm gonna grab some more coffee while we zoom back into this. Hold on real quick. I'll be right back, guys. I've been running a mega dungeon on my Discord to play test the martial power system that we've been developing for 5e martial characters to have a mana supply and like magical powers that they could use that isn't spellcasting. And I am excited to continue delving down mostly because I just think mega dungeons are fun, but creating a narrative inside of the mega dungeon of like what's going on, why is it happening, what kind of you always want to have like factions inside of mega dungeons so that you have things fighting each other so the team can have opinions about how things are going down. And the team's mostly been fighting just like a bunch of different types of monsters lately. But occasionally there's an intelligent thing that'll come through for them to poke at. But for the most part, they've just been delving through this exposed temple that had been buried, and recent earthquakes have revealed its location. So it becomes a delving site. And they've been picking through it, and then they leave for a few weeks to go drop off their treasure in town, and they come back. It's repopulated some, but they keep delving deeper and deeper. And I've been staying ahead of them by a few zones. Like each zone is like a 250 foot space of map. They're like tiles like this that are going through different dungeon types, and they're starting to switch terrain. They were doing all this like ruined temple underground sort of structure. With a lot of undead and constructs, and now they've delved down deep enough that they're getting into caverns where there's like fungus and a lot of humidity and water, so the biome is changing on them. So they went through 6 different zones, like 3 levels. They start at level 3, they're level 6 now. So basically every 3 zones they can gain a level off of the amount of content that's in it. And so every 3 biomes, and we're going from level 3 to 10, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 8 zones, 8 levels. So we're going to have basically probably 3 biomes. They went from the temple down into the subterranean grottos, which is basically where they're pushing into. And then as they push through those zones, they'll end up further down underground, through the grottos to more and more fantastical underdark locations. It becomes more, mythic as they proceed. And I honestly don't. I have no idea. I have a general idea of what's down there, and how things are like arranged, but I don't know any specifics about like the locations that are down there. Right? It's like I have ideas as the DM. I have ideas about what they're going to encounter. But until I actually build the maps, I don't actually know, because it's not, I'm making it up as I go along. So it's all inspiration based and whatever grabs me. So I get to, I build the initial space, and then I start feeding in residents or denizens of the dungeon. And I start thinking about how are they going to utilize the space that they're in. And as I assemble the creatures that are there, I start to reshape the environment to better match the narrative of what it is like. If it ends up being like Sverfneblin or mining down here, then I'll start reorganizing the caverns to look like they're mining, as opposed to just being like natural caverns. Now it's worked stone that's been plowed through for whatever minerals, and that changes the general narrative description of what that environment is. So word salad at ya, but I really, really enjoy creating dungeon environments like that. They're super fun. They're actually not that difficult to do, because you just got to make a good looking map, and then just know what's like spell out different locations, like have a key so like a number grid, like what room am I in, and populate it. But the DM really wants to think about what's in the next rooms, so that you can have stuff respond to the noises and actions of the character. Like if they use shatter, or I'm sorry, like a knock. If they used a knock spell to like open a door that's stuck, again, it's every creature. It has like a 300-foot audible range. So if you use the knock spell, anything within 300 feet is going to hear that spell trigger and potentially incite some curiosity about what's going on. And each zone of the map is roughly 250 feet. So if they were to use the knock spell, basically any creatures that are in adjacent zones are going to hear that knock spell and will start to migrate over towards where the players are at just to investigate that, probably out of just sheer boredom or security, you know, what's going on in my home. And those become random encounters. So if the DM, just good sequencing, if a DM's running a dungeon, just knowing what's in the dungeon and how would they just naturally respond to the actions of the players. What are they doing? How are they messing around with stuff? And what would be the natural response of anything that was in that area? And basically, once you get the terrain, the denizens and their motivations resolved, dungeons just basically run themselves. They just become improv space. Like, it's just, you have a general idea of what's going on, but you won't know for sure what's going to happen until the players, instigate shenanigans, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. And if you've done your prep work, when you are in game, it becomes very low effort. You just get to enjoy playing the dungeon with the rest of the team without you having to think too hard about, oh shit, what's going to happen next. And occasionally I'll have to stop because it's like the team catches me off guard doing something zany, and like, I honestly have no idea how the world would respond to this. Hold on. And then you pull out your favorite Oracle dice method and just random in some spontaneous responses to whatever BS the team is trying to pull off. And that is a sustainable game. You have to put in, it's homework for the DM to build these spaces out for the team to run through. But if you've got a fun team that respects the time that you invest in the endeavor, they're going to interact with it in good faith and hopefully stay in character to create situations where they get they get gummed up and have to think their way through the situation. So, but you have to have player buy-in to make that happen. If the players think your game is weak and they don't like the way that you're building stuff, and you're just gonna get fought the entire time. It's not gonna be fun for you as a DM because convincing the players to come along is going to become work, and you do the work ahead of time so that you don't have to worry about the work during game time. And I think there's not enough DM appreciation, as it were, out there for the amount of time and effort that DMs really put into this adventure production stuff to make them work. So I've really enjoyed the process of making a pre-generated adventure that's providing all of these tools and ideas and that flexible improv space with all the obvious questions about, like, well, what happens if X, Y, or Z? What do you do if X, Y, and Z happens? Most of that stuff we have covered, to the point where if we aren't covering it, it's probably a gray area between two different alternatives that already exist. So you can just put them together. And when we play tested this adventure, I ran 4 different groups through it, and multiple times, and it turned out it was fun consistently. But I built the thing, so I've got really good knowledge about, like, all the key points and all the subtleties and blah. The real test is to hand an adventure off to a DM that's just reading through it like any other adventure product that they would purchase and actually run it. And the feedback I got from that was it was easy to toolkit with. We could take the components and blend them together in different ways to match what my team was happening to do. We didn't have to play by the script that was built into the adventure, because the tools that are in the adventure are modular enough that you can parse together different solutions and different pathing through the story, which is exactly what I wanted to do, to make it super simple for a DM to just take the components and the modularity of the different zones that you move through and be able to parse them together in a way that makes sense for your table specifically. And that's something I loved about the old mod. I use the word modular very intentionally because that's kind of the approach of modules way back in the Beckme days. Of that, like, these are like, they were 32-page adventures. They were basically just dungeons with an explanation of who the different factions in the dungeons were, what their goals were like, and stat blocks for encounter the creatures that you would encounter in each pre-generated area, plus some random encounters to move from one area to another. And you're basically done. Here you go. And if there's a cool little story that goes along with it or some interesting, unusual details, all the better. But they weren't super heavy, thick, hardbound books with some sort of epic storyline. They were just little vignette scenarios in interesting locations with unusual NPCs doing weird stuff that can trigger inspiration in the DM to take the adventure in new directions for a campaign. And although this is a 100-page document, it's a lot of pages, and but it's got a lot of tools in it. It's a very big toolbox that provides you with like a forest map toolkit to be able to build your own forest terrain, and multiple scenarios in all the different biomes. Like there's a swampy graveyard with multiple encounters in multiple locations. There's the forest, which is all like randomly, progressively generated exploration space, and the cornfields and the farmhouses, the actual village where the players are at, where the players start the adventure. Three separate, like there's like three ruins and one actual dungeon map, plus a bunch of small like 20 by 20 square map spaces. Like there's a sinkhole, like an undead sinkhole, like a mass grave, an unmarked mass grave that animates all the corpses inside of it, and they start clawing their way to the surface. So like there's a sinkhole where ghouls are crawling out of. It becomes something that's like basically a monster generator. You have no idea how many ghouls are in the mass grave until you actually go into the mass grave to shut it down. Kind of like Gauntlet. The old Gauntlet video game had monster generators. You had to bash your way through all the monsters to get to the generator, and then you had to tear down the generator by attacking it with hit points. And once you destroy the generator, it didn't spit out any more monsters. This is kind of that same idea. I'm a huge Gauntlet fan. Gauntlet Legends on the Xbox, like in 2002 or something, like around that time frame. Freaking great video game. I played that in the arcade, and you could save your character to the specific machine that you would play on. So you come back, you drop in a quarter, you add in your username and password, and you reload your character, and you can keep delving through the different layers of dungeon. God, that was a really, really fun game. But I always think about monster generators and adventures as a result of it, like boggy, like a swampy graveyard could have bogs where undead, like the gravestone, like the headstones have sunk into the swamp, and you have no idea how many graves are actually in there until they start crawling out and coming after you. Fun stuff like that. Like if you stay still too long, you're going to get overwhelmed, so you have to keep moving or find the source of whatever the monsters are and shut it down so that they don't keep spawning at you, so you can have, downtime. I love that kind of stuff. It's super fun. Because until you find out where the source of monsters are coming from, you really have no idea how many monsters there are. Transform is going to select the inverse. There we go. All right, the first group of tiles are done. Well done. Here's the cornfields without any paths through them. These are 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 unique juncture points that can be tiled together. I'm not gonna bother assembling it. I enjoy assembling them. So hold on. I'll probably actually take a moment here and assemble some. Let's take this one here, and this one can connect here. Like that. I'm just gonna fuck around with these things just for fun, just to take a mental break. And to and appreciate our own tiling efforts. See, this goes into a dead end. It looks pretty natural to dead end like that. And when we hit the line here, it doesn't even really look like there's a transition issue. It's very smooth transfer from one point to the next. Hey Steve, how you doing? And let's grab another one. Where could this one hook in? I'm just gonna fuck around and connect these things for a little bit. And here's another one. We can go here like that. Let's take this one here, and hey, look at that, it connects. See, it doesn't, it really, these little bubbled, there we go. These little bubbled edges that we came up with, I feel like those actually do pretty good. There's a little discrepancy here and there, like this one gets trimmed weird. But that's the, it's not frequent. It's not really a significant issue, I feel. So let's. What the fuck? Why did I do that? That is completely off base. I can't do that. Like that's a path to nowhere, my dude. Here, let's put this in place. Yeah, these things don't couple together at all. Ooh, but the only reason they don't is just because of that little nub there. If I get rid of those two nubs, I can make these things completely connect. I have to fix this and get rid of those nubs. What was I thinking? But anyway, for the most part, these things are chaining together really well. If I shifted this down to here, that connection would look really good. And then get rid of that connection point here to open up that space. That would feel really good as well. That's really fun. Like, just tile a couple of these. Like, these things are fun. I love doing this shit. Tiles are fun. The end. We get it, Kearney. Tiles are fun. But yeah, this one was done completely wrong. So we gotta rebuild this one. Give me a hot second. We'll get into that here. Trim that away. Add this back in. We got to get rid of this. Hey, see what's going on? Yeah, it's coming along really nicely. I'm incredibly pleased with these. Just making tiles is fun. It's just fun. Making tiles is fun. It's just fun. There. Boom, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum. I wanted to open up space here. Which means I want to fill in here. I want to erase this like that. Clean up the space over here. And then here. Add these back in. Here. that. I don't know if this is going to be the last. I don't know if I'm... Like, I could potentially... I think this might be the last, like, really productive day for me to do this. These cornfield mazes. I don't think there's a lot of added value to doing this. Like, I could probably do the rest of this stuff off screen, and that's probably not a bad idea. Like, to do it in the like I've got design time in the evening as well as actually here on stream with you guys. And I think I want to add that back in. Now I want to keep moving. I like bringing new things back. Like keep moving forward with like the next piece. Like what's the next page? What's the next piece? Blah, blah, blah. There we go. So I'm thinking tomorrow we'll fire up something new. I have tomorrow and Friday as vacation. Oh, and Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday are vacation days for me. So so I've got a lot of production time ahead of me. I'm really, really happy about that. Let's this feels like this should fill in here. There we go. Let's trim that away here. So I could start something new. I don't know what the next page is going to be, but whatever the next page is, that's probably what we should work on. So that's, I think, what I'm planning on doing is being done with this on stream. Like, this will be the last day we do this, because I think we've pretty much played this hand out, right? You guys know what I'm doing. You see how it is. I can show you the full assembly when it's actually done. But I don't think there's much value to the stream itself. Like they say, you're only as good as your last two streams, right? So I should keep moving forward. There we go. If we click these things together. Now those look really, really good together. That stuff is fun. I actually want to move these around. I like futzing with these things, so. Do that. Drop this in here. And then pretty natural. Oh, this has got a neat little spiral hook going in here. I mean, it's like not intentional or anything, but it's just like this neat little gappy sort of space in here. I like this. I think these are fun. I think this is, like, at a glance, this is pretty organic feeling. It doesn't look like anything in particular is broken about it. Yeah. But I mean, again, we can rearrange these in any number of fashions. And these are just nodes. These are like unique nodes that are just interesting points that, like, we could have a mob of undead here, like as a standoff, or you can get, if you're coming through here, you can get ambushed by a mob of undead here and here that pincer strike you as you come through this. Okay, so the thing is, in this undead adventure in the Carnwood, it's all the undead that are rising because of the magic of Mabar. It makes these undead independent and can't be controlled. They're resistant to being turned, and they're all military. So it's like hundreds of dead soldiers. And when they arise, they kind of have their thoughts. So they organize and group together as platoons and units operating together as a team. So they'll do things like ambush, like especially like you get into ghouls that are actually intelligent, like actually intelligent. There's also a couple whites that are running around. There's some shades that are running around, but most of it's ghouls and advanced skeletons and zombies. The zombies are actually villagers and are the least competent of them all, but the skeletons are all soldiers like from hundreds of years ago, and they all were basically buried together, like their whole platoon was buried in the cemetery together that sunk into the swamp. And so when they get animated by the powers of Mabar, they retain their military abilities. So they organize and they like cover for each other and stuff like that. Like they operate as a unit. And so what would otherwise be like CR1, CR1 half, very low XP targets, like with 20 hit points a pop. But if they're coming at you in a mob of 6 that are organized and coordinating their actions, they're actually really fucking dangerous. And they're going to chew on your hit points. So the mob rules that we're using is, it's not that like you're being attacked by 6 undead. It's that 6 undead, you're making a saving throw to avoid getting mobbed by them. And if you fail your saving throw, they basically grapple you and start dealing automatic damage that you save for half until you can break free. And every time your team kills one of the undead, it lowers the DC, the saving throw DC, and the passive damage that it deals until you whittle it down to a single target. So you can't just ignore them; they will catch up and mob on you. What about a hidden valley? Yeah, I mean this is yeah, definitely. We could insert like in this gap here, there could be a rift that leads underground. Like there could be Inkheg. Or there could be bullets in the like these pathways could actually be formed because of bullets going through the fields, churning up the land, causing the corn to get knocked aside. So this could be like if you're on these paths, you're more likely to be attacked by bullets. You could crash through the growth and lose your visibility. But like you could at any point then, if there's like Inkhegs and bullets in the fields, then any point you could have a rupture that'll lead into similarly having caverns underground. It's just you have less options. You can't run away. You can't just dive off into the corn husks, right? You're actually stuck in these tunnels. So, but yeah, you could add in these, like you could have a gazebo here, or you could have like an actual entrance into the Underdark, just however you want to organize it. Yeah, very fun, very very fun. But it's meant to generate ideas more than anything else. So I can drop that away. Let's bring this forward here. So these are this is the same connector node, but it's just rotated or flipped. So that each, like we were showing earlier here, here's the 8 points of aggress that are on each tile. It's like this one here, you can see is here, 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 and here. While the same one rotated is now here and here, and here and here. So it's hitting different points. Here, 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 and here. So between these 3, all 8 points are hit multiple times. So, and the same thing with these. There's 1, 2, 3 points of aggress, and between these 3 rotations, we hit every single 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We hit every point, one of them more than once. This one gets hit more than once, but otherwise each of them is hit only. This one's hit twice. The rest of them are hit only once, but all of them get hit with this pattern. So you could use this one to bridge from any node to another node. And then we also have just straight line tunnels, like pathways that'll lead you from one point to another point diagonally. And then we just have lateral movement just to, like, this is just cornfield. It just gets you from one node to the next. If you want to create more space to expand the scope of your corn maze, or if we reframe this to be like a dungeon, like caverns or whatever, you can create more space between these nodes, and then like have a wandering, like if you're going from one dungeon to the next and you're going down this path and you end up running into a random encounter, where are you gonna go? Nowhere. You're either gonna run away from them or you're gonna charge through them. You gotta do one of them. So these become choke points that your team has to deal with. But if it's a core maze, of course, you can just dive off into the corn and try to hide there and hope that you don't get noticed. If you're trying to, you know, Scooby-Doo it and dodge enemies, then you could Scooby-Doo your way through the corn mazes by just doing hiding checks to try to dodge shit. And these are curved paths that you can see here that'll lead you through into another one. Again, this helps cap off and enclose spaces if you want to do so. I don't necessarily think there's a lot of value in these connectors, but that's not my choice. I provide the tools here so that people can do the thing. And then this takes you from one side to another. You can see here it crosses over, so you're changing directions with this without completely turning around. And then we have all 8 points. All the points are covered between these 8. And then, between these these go from like outside to outside, while these go from outside to inside. See how those clip short while these are broader? So these are different arcs. So between all of these shapes, these are basically all the different type of turns that you can make from one tile into another, or in this instance, like through a tile back into itself. So these will be all the connectors that will hook together with the nodes that we already made. Boop, boop. Like that's a good node. But again, this one and this one, these are all multi-path connectors, right? They're call them nodes. And then we have all of these which dive off in different directions. So what time are we at? It's 7:30. Okay, I've got another 20 minutes to go. So let's just keep getting to work. This is something, I don't think this is, I think we're about to play this out. So tomorrow morning, I think we're going to come back in with something different. I think we might be doing like hazard tokens tomorrow. Might make sense. We'll see. We'll see what we get to. But let's conceal that. Let's take this cornfield layer here. Let's open this up. And let's start dropping down into here. Open all these spaces up. So what we do is we duplicate this group. And then we bring it up into this group here. And then we close it. Then we go here, production, duplicate group. And we bring it up into this folder here. And once we have all of them up here, we'll be able to position, we'll then next position them properly. But this isn't very, this is at this point, this is like assembly work. It's not actually very creative, quote unquote. So it has less value. Doing more, I like doing more creative stuff so we can, so my brain doesn't lock up so much with logistics, right? The more I have to think about what I'm doing, the less I can just talk about stuff. Yeah, like that. Let's grab this and bring it, but you know, this is the job right now, so this is what we do. That's one of the purposes of this channel, is to show you all the grueling details of, like, what do you actually need to do to make this shit work? Well, here's all the stuff that I go through when I'm making, you know, a quote-unquote professional piece. Seal that. There, and then let's grab that and square it up. Good. Bring this into position. Yeah, I had yesterday and Monday off. I've got tomorrow through Monday off as well. I actually decided to do office work. I'm very blessed in that I get to work from home most of the time. So it's easy for me to bring this to here. Yeah. That's the way to do it. So I'm blessed to be able to blog out during lunchtime and do artwork if I want to. But I didn't want too much work piling up on me during the week, so I've opted to work today just so that when I come back on Tuesday, I'm not completely overwhelmed with tasks. There's all that. I'm going to conceal production for now because it's getting in the way. Bump, 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 bump. Weird. There. All right, second verse, same as the first. Actually, I think I want to flip these things around. Let's put that guy there. Bring this guy here. There. Good. Peel open. There we go. Chip, chop, chiree, chiroo, chirum. I'm just going to do real assembly style. I'm just going to erase stuff initially and then move on to the next piece. Erase there, and then we'll come back through and we'll start dropping in ground effects and just bounce, because I'm running out of time. So I'm just going to bounce from piece to piece just to get more stuff done. And yeah, I think hazard tokens is the next thing that we're going to do. The hazard tokens aren't things that actually show up on maps. They're just little reminder icons that, like, this is an obscured environment, or this environment has difficult terrain, or this environment, there's a poison hazard in this environment from the different type of plants that are in the area, or whatever. It's like little things that we can add, to it, like here's an encounter map, and here's some little nodes, like your vision is obscured, there's poison in the environment, and it's difficult terrain. Like, those are three condition cards that we can place onto a map. That's the idea anyway. So we can build those tomorrow, and so a lot of the adventure is actually map space, just like having each room or each area on a map that encounters occur in. A lot of the quote unquote illustrations in the adventure is just cartography, and you don't have to have a ton of illustrations in an adventure unless you've got like gaps on your page. It's like, this is a weird gap on my page, I don't know what else to fill it with. You could come up with random tables or like little vignette ideas, or you can fill them in with spot illustrations. And as we continue working our way through the document and dropping these different map chunks, like different pages into maps, we put the thing together and we keep doing the thing. Sorry, I'm kind of word salading at you guys here for a second. My brain's not so gooding. but one of the things that I get to do in my off-screen time is carve up the full map. Because like most of these maps are like, I think the biggest map is 75 squares on a side. Most of them are 20 to 50. So big spaces work great in virtual tabletop. We have black and like line art versions of them that can be printed out on 11 by 17 legal sheet pages to tile them together. But the primary default is assuming virtual tabletop, because I do all my stuff. I do all my work digitally now. I don't play D&D in person. When I do play D&D in person, it's theater. It's always theater of the mind. I do very little actual mapping in my own home games because I don't like my team to know when I'm actually like using prepared content versus making stuff up because they caught me off guard and we're going on a tangent. If you completely bullshit your map and have like zero effort in visual presentations and go to theater of the mind as much as possible, you don't have to worry about preparing dungeon spaces in advance. You could just use a D8 to decide which, how many doors are there out of here and which directions did they go. It's very simple. And if you never really illustrate any of this stuff, your team never really knows the difference. If you get good at improvising and BSing your way through a room description and monsters that are there and be able to think on the fly, what do I think is going on in this space that the team can bump into, and if you don't have any real commitment to the space or the goals of the creatures that are in that space, then as a DM, you're free to just let the players do whatever they want because you don't have any predetermined outcomes that you're anticipating. You're just responding to what the players are actually attempting to do. So you can cater the experience more specifically to what their solutions are, as opposed to what the next story beat in the adventure is written as being. Which is why I tried to build the adventure to be really modular and to be able to have multiple points of contact, as well as like different, like there's 3 pillars of adventure. There's combat, there's exploration, which is like investigation, and there's social interaction, which is a different type of investigation. Instead of you snooping around, you're asking questions. So, but they call it social. I honestly think that the social pillar is kind of mislabeled. It's like more like shenanigans, because like interrogating somebody or asking questions of someone is the same thing as looking for a secret door in a dungeon. You're trying to find a path forward to information that your characters don't currently have that you need to continue whatever your adventure is. Like that's what a conversation with an NPC is. That's not actually social interaction. I think the actual quote unquote pillar of play, that social interaction, is what I would call shenanigans, where players are basically acting in character or just messing with the game world, like inside the game, like in character inside the world, whether they're acting sincerely or just fucking around with stuff. It's them interacting with the world in character. That's what shenanigans are, where they're not like actively looking for clues or what's our next step forward. They're like, no, let's make a let's make a cupcake shop. Like that's shenanigans. But it's also like what's your character's background? What's your, is there like a romance story arc thing happening and alongside of all the danger adventure stuff? If there is, those are technically, that's I think what would actually be the quote unquote social pillar. Because you're depicting conversation, or like you're depicting the personality and motives and actions of a specific person, your character. I think that just it's I think those two get misconstrued a lot, which is why I'm spending a few moments yammering about it. There, that's where that's at. because I think those get confused. Asking NPCs questions in character is not social interaction. That's between players. So the social pillar is between players, where you're eating up table time and creating in-game rewards for in-game conversations that the players are basically depicting their characters having, that don't have any real goal, like it doesn't, other than fleshing out the narrative of my character's allergies, is a social interaction pillar that's eating time at the table, but is adding depth to your characters as separate personas from the players. That's what the social interaction, the social pillar is. If I was just interrogating somebody, or like at a dinner party in character in the game with the goal of gathering information or finding out secrets, that's exploration. The same as searching a room for a secret door, or searching a hex for a hidden dungeon entrance, or what's the location of the orc scouts, where are they coming from. That's all actual exploration. You could cast like a telepathy spell and start rifling through people's memories. That would be an exploration. Yeah, let's keep assembling. So we're down here. We still got a few minutes. Let's just clean up our edges down here. Keep it clean. That and there. I don't think any insights I have are particularly amazing. I think anyone that's spent 40 years running games would probably have a lot of the same conclusions. But I think the value is probably just from having just another voice talking about these universal truths. And maybe the way that they're framed might be a little unique. It's like, you can only play, like, guitars only work one way. Like the physics of a guitar it's a set tool. It's designed to function in a particular way, but how you use that, like how you express yourself through that functionality, that's what makes guitarists unique from each other, right? And DMing is kind of the same way. I said right. I don't speak that way normally. Normally I just let my sentences stand as they are. I don't like when someone says right, like when they're talking to you, it's like, that guy's a racist, right? It's like they're trying to get you to buy in on it. When you hear someone say right, they're trying to sell you something. And I generally try to avoid that mnemonic, because I think it's a weak narrative, and it disempowers the presenter as a it deflates them as an authority. If I'm appealing to your buy-in, I'm not confident that what I say stands alone, regardless if you agree with my words or not, whether you think my opinion is valid or not. If I'm an authority, I don't care if you agree with me or not. These are my observations. I know what I'm talking about. If you're trying to persuade somebody, you're far more motivated to get them to buy in. So you would use that buy-in, right, sort of language that goes along with it. It's a subtlety, and it might not be very important to most people. Those type of things I pay attention to a lot. I will say this: if you ever have the opportunity, if you have the time, the bandwidth, and the opportunity, getting into something like Toastmasters. Toastmasters is basically like a social group that creates a topic of conversation, and then all the participants, they make like 3-minute speeches about whatever that topic is, and their goal during that conversation is to minimize things like stutters or using words like or you know, like these gap filler words. You know, like that's or like blah blah blah. These are gap fillers where you're not actually saying anything relevant. You're basically using them as transition points, and you can more loquaciously have a transfer point by just simply completing a statement, letting yourself pause, and then move on to the next point, structuring it like an actual page of text that's been written well. Toastmasters is designed to have your speech patterns in conversation match that same level of structure that you would read as a paragraph. And I spent a number of years growing up doing that sort of work to get better, because I used to be a phone salesman. So the more loquacious and smooth I could sound on the phone, the easier time I would have with potential clients. So it really behooved me to develop and become aware of speech patterns and how we use language and how we can command attention through competence. And that's our timer. So we are damn near out of time. I'm just going to pick at this again. Like this type of assembly work. This type of assembly work I don't actually have to think about when I do, because I'm just following a pattern of activity, in this case of just erasing stuff to create a pathway and then adding in ground scrubbage to ground them into the fields. And this doesn't actually take much thought process on its own at all. So I could potentially do more of this, but the problem is that this is just 6 of the tiles. I'm going to go back into that assembly mode that's more difficult for me to just think on the fly. So I'm hoping tomorrow when we come back and I start working on the hazard tokens that I will be able to be in a zero thought space so that I can talk about things more smoothly and allow the intuitive creative energy flow through conversation as well as through the pixels. Anyway, this has been my diatribe about commanding conversations and speaking with authority. Cheers. Whatever that's worth, I have no idea why the muse decided that was a topic of conversation that would be interesting, but it's what she was interested in, so that's what we talked about. The pact I have with my muse is that she will, from her timeless space in the eternities of Mount Olympus, as it were, or heaven, being outside the normal entropy time-space dimensions, she can see the future of this project. All I have to do is step aside and let her guide me towards what she can already see in the future of what this becomes. And I just become a passenger as she pushes the pixels around through me. I've talked about this before. Muses don't actually feel the emotions of art. They actually have to connect with a mortal entity that's capable of feeling emotions to be able to get that rush of creativity. They can see the end product. They know how to get there. They can guide you to creating anything, but they gain no joy from it unless they're actually conduiting that creative energy through somebody. And that sounds insane, and I respect that perspective. But that's the narrative that I've developed over time that explains why I can create art but have no idea what I'm doing at the same time. Something is guiding me through this process, this intuitive process of creating stuff. And I guess I've just chosen to anthropomorphize the intuitive creative experience to be a hot chick in my head that the Greeks would call a muse. So there you go. Call me crazy if you want. Let's get that into place there. But so far that narrative has worked consistently for me. Like I just keep maybe it's just a mnemonic device that I use to allow me to turn off my brain and enter that space through an imagined aesthetically pleasing relationship with my own inner self. But so far it's been working out really well. I had no reason to rock the boat, and it's a fun fantasy narrative. So it's the story I stick to. My muse is real. She sees the future. She knows what this thing looks like, and she's been guiding me every step of the way towards the best product that it can be. And I dearly love that. It's so much fun to surrender control and just to see what gets created. Like, what do I get to be a part of, you know? That's the real joy of it. Like, what am I going to witness once this thing is assembled? There you go. Let's put that one back in place to fill in that gap a little bit. That's pretty good. Okay, that one's done. And I am out of time. It's 7:56 here in Seattle. This is the only time that I'm streaming today specifically, so this is it for me. I'm gonna hit save here real quick. There we go. We'll save there, and yeah, I'll keep doing this in the evening. It might take me a few days in my off time, but when we come back tomorrow, we'll work on another page of the actual adventure. Yeah, we'll keep pushing on from there. So, hey, Steve, thanks for hanging out with me, guy. Anyone else that's out there, like I said, I stream this stuff in the morning, 5 days a week, and I do actual game design mechanics Monday and Thursday nights, as well as Tuesday and Friday during the day. So 9 times per week, and we do playtesting on my Discord channel on Saturday mornings. Right now we're running a mega dungeon for the Martial Powers project. Once that's done, we'll be doing Strixhaven, Mage Tower competitions. And then once we get through that, probably by February next year, we'll be doing Spelljammer, Storm King's Thunder for the Mecha Kaiju mechanics. And somewhere along that ways, we're going to be building out the Bastion book and the 5-color mana system into the 2024 rules. We've got a lot on our plate, my guys. There's a lot of shit on my plate. It'll probably take a year or two for me to finish. Like everything that's currently on my plate will probably take a year or two for me to finish all of it. And it's I'm broadcasting all of it at you guys so you can see it all happening. Anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm out of here for now. I will be back tomorrow morning. Y'all have fun. I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.